before we get too into the words, I wanted to show a video of making your first game. Alright, so what we've just done is just tutorial so far, and that's cool and all, but we want to do something original, right? So here's some tips on how to make an original game, or your first original game.
And start something smaller next time. Tip number 3, don't worry too much about the design of your first game. It kills James. To say this, but don't spend weeks designing systems or mechanics that you don't even know if you can implement yet. Just get to building something as quickly as you can. The experience is way more valuable than the end results this time around. Tip number 4, set milestones. This one sounds obvious, but it can be so easy to ignore on a small project. If you estimate your project should take you about a month, set yourself a milestone goal for every week. Tip number 5, take those big milestone tasks and break them down even further. As you plan, any tasks that you've listed as taking more than a week is probably best broken down into smaller tasks. This is true for pretty much any game you'll ever build. Build graphics engine or complete character art are way too big to be tasks. Implement hardware instancing or rig main character. Those are at least closer. Even those can probably be broken down further. Having a granular task list will help you plan better, keep you on track, and make you feel like you're really accomplishing things as you tick them off the list. Tip number 6. Send yourself producer emails. At the beginning of each week, send yourself an email saying what you did last week and what you plan to do this week. Then compare that with last week's email. This is a quick and dirty way of making sure that things don't fall off the production schedule, and it will help you organize your time each week. Tip number 7. Review your game at least once a week. Even if life gets hectic, if your job or school gets in the way of you making a lot of progress on your game, make yourself at least look at your game just for a half hour once a week. It's really, really easy to let 2 weeks slip by without touching your game, and then when you finally get back to it, finding yourself totally lost and not remembering what you were doing or where you were at. This is the point at which a lot of people quit. Don't let that happen to you. Tip number 8. Don't worry about production values. A lot of people get derailed by trying to make their first game look or sound good. Don't worry about that. If your game plays amazing, you'll have plenty of time to work on the polish later. But unless you're adding one of those polish touches just to learn how to do it, none of it matters for your first game. Keep in mind, there are a lot of great games out there that are made of nothing but moving squares. Tip number 9. Don't spend more than 1 hour trying to do anything yourself. If you find yourself stuck on a problem, take a stab at it because it'll help you learn, but you shouldn't be spending more than an hour on any individual problem in your game. Given that it's your first game, everything you're trying to do probably has an excellent tutorial out there for it. Use those resources. One of the most common quitting points for first-time developers is spending a week making no progress on a problem that the world at large could have helped them solve in minutes. I know that many of us, myself included, want to solve everything ourselves, but take advice from someone who's learned this the hard way. Don't try to do that. And finally, tip number 10. Make people play your game. I know that we mentioned this last time, but this is incredibly important. You will learn an unbelievable amount just from seeing how people play what you've created. It's easy to be embarrassed or shy about these things, and it's easy to look at other games out there and say, wow, my game does not measure up to that. I'll show people my game once I have something that does. But trust me, the path to making great games is marked by all the realizations you'll have from people actually playing your earlier work. Don't deny yourself that incredible resource. Hopefully these guidelines should serve to help you get your first game out in no time. Well, 3 months at most. If you find yourself struggling, cut stuff. Find the smallest possible game you can make. Make that. Once that's done, find 1 or 2 new things that you'd like to experiment with, and base your next game around those ideas. If you keep things small and you can keep blazing your way through these projects, you'll find that by the time a year's out, you'll really be able to make games that let you experiment with a huge range of design ideas and game types. And During the last 2 episodes, we've stressed how important it is to make your first game something small. But this is so important that this time we're going to dedicate the entire episode to it. This will serve you in good stead not only when you're creating your first game, but also when prototyping for anything else you do. In development, there's a term called minimum viable product, which refers to the smallest thing you can possibly make that'll still give you useful data once released. That should be your goal. Even when James is called in to work on a multi-million-dollar project that has a development time of 3 years, one of the first things he'll tell them is that if they don't have a prototype up in the first 3 weeks, they're doing it wrong. When you can actually play your game, you'll discover all sorts of things that you didn't account for when you were just designing the game in your head. You'll find edge cases where your mechanics are broken, or places where your game just falls apart. You'll find what's really engaging rather than just trying to build something that you hope is engaging, and you'll discover what will add the most to the experience you're creating. Okay, so you've heard me say cut and cut and cut, and that when you think you're done cutting, you're probably not done cutting, but you do have to stop cutting sometimes. So how do we determine when we're down to that minimum viable product? Well, this one is a bit tough, and you're going to get better at it with experience, but the basic idea is to find the absolute minimum set of features that won't affect core development. If you could cut a feature and still technically ship your game, it's probably not part of your minimum viable product. But because this is as much an art as it is a science, let's run through some examples so we're all on the same footing. Let's start with Super Mario Bros. What do we need in order to test if the fundamental gameplay of Super Mario Bros. Is engaging? What's the minimum that we can build and test before deciding if what we have is something worth expanding upon with additional features? Well, do we need Koopas? No. Fire flowers? Nope. Bowser? Nope. Pipes that you can climb down? No. Pipes at all? No. Water levels, mushrooms, hidden blocks, extra lives? No. So what do we need? Well, for Mario, the minimum viable product is probably one level where you can move, jump, and fall into pits. That's it. If just that much is engaging, you'll be able to add all those other features later and make it even better. But if running along and jumping over pits doesn't feel good, Super Mario Bros. Simply doesn't work, no matter how many extra features you throw in. So you've got to make sure that that core is working first. Although, in this particular case, I'd probably throw in 2 other features that aren't strictly necessary, but they will make a big difference. First, a trigger which resets the level if the player falls into the pit, just so testing is easier, and to make sure that this aspect isn't just unpalatable to players. And second, the ability to change from walking to running, since the Mario jump mechanic is so dependent on the run button. But that's it. 1 level, 3 features, and you've got a game. Don't believe something this simple could be engaging? Well, set the character to auto-run and you've basically built Cannibalt. When building your first game, or prototyping a larger one, you'll find that you can strip out all of the content, all of the things that aren't rules that control the play itself, but rather elements that are created out of those rules. So enemy types, levels, different weapons, all of that can usually get cut. You might want to include one thing from each category just to test the larger rules, but no more than that, because it's really easy to get mired down in making all of that content. And the truth is, games with lots of content but without a solid foundation are rarely good. Perhaps worse, as a creator, when your game's packed with content, it's generally harder to figure out why the foundation's not working. If you test your prototype with a lot of content thrown in, it'll be harder for players to put their fingers on exactly what it is that needs improvement, as all of that content just clutters what's wrong, and they'll be more likely to tell you about bad pieces of content rather than the underlying reasons why that content didn't create a positive experience. It just adds complexity in a situation where you really need to be honing your game's core foundation. Okay, so let's try another one. Old school JRPGs. Now this one can fool people because most designers tend to think of these games in terms of content rather than gameplay. It's easy to get caught up in the story you want to tell, or the massive lists of items and enemies. But if the player has to slog through 80 hours of weak gameplay in order to access that story you've got in mind, you've done your player a disservice. In fact, that's some of what's contributed to the decline in the popularity of traditional JRPGs this decade. So take a game like Final Fantasy IV. Here, I would cut everything but the menu-based combat system. I would even cut out all the graphics. Monsters can just be words on the screen. That's really all you need to test the system. Now, many of you might object, saying, but that doesn't work. I can't make that engaging without the content. This is actually great, though. It immediately tells us that we should probably find a more robust system. All right, let's try one more. This time, let's look at Ikaruga. Here, we could probably cut down to the color switching mechanic, an enemy which switches color randomly and shoots random bullet patterns, or maybe randomly chooses from a small list of pre-built bullet patterns, as that wouldn't be too hard to construct. Also, you'll need the ability for the player to move and to shoot, a counter which ticks upward as you shoot the enemy, and a death mechanic that simply resets the game when the player gets hit. This will get you all the player behavior you need to find out if your game's engaging. Your players will try to dodge and shoot the enemy while attempting to take advantage of the color swapping system as much as possible. That's all you need.
That's 4 is to give you an idea of how to make a good first game, scoping small and making sure that you can finish it rather than getting swamped with like a humongous project. Alright, so I'm gonna go back to the slides now. Just shrink this. Okay. So I was gonna leave this code here. I need to pick on some people though. So I'm gonna choose people randomly to go with me outside and to have a little chat outside the room. Okay. So let's see. There's 3, 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, so I'm gonna randomly choose 3 people. Okay, I'm gonna do that. If your birthday is in winter, put your hands up.
Hold on, Northern Hemisphere winter or?
Oh, this winter. Southern Hemisphere winter. So that's like June to August. Oh, nobody? That's a. Oh, Vincent. Okay. I want to refuse from choosing Ixik. So okay, how about summer? So that would be December to February. Okay, I'm gonna pick on you here and I'll pick on you. Okay, is that okay? Can you come here? Thanks. Maybe one more person.
No, Josh. My birthday's in March, in January.
I will. Good to know your birthday again, though. Okay. Are you free already in a free-form group, right? So you won't. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's okay. All right. Are you open to invite 2 more people? Okay. Are you feeling in this group? Okay, so I'm just gonna like throw the few of these couple thoughts. Yeah, maybe one more would be nice. Alright, so I'm gonna choose this randomly. If your birthday is between 15th and the last day of your month of your birthday.
What is that supposed to mean?
15th, 16th, 17th, etc. all the way to 31st. Okay, you're there. Come here.
Ah.
Okay.
He's trying to find
I'm gonna hand off the microphone to Harry now.
Alright.
Alright.
So yeah, those 2 controls the slides.
All the guys are waiting.
If you want to change the browser, just change.
I know how to control switch.
Yeah, okay. And if this music runs out, just run this up to 30 minutes. After that, it's copyright.
Alright, so while they start their little project outside, I figured that we could do a few little games just to see if we know some background on game development or even a few little more things. So I'm gonna quickly boot up Kahoot on the background here, and we will get that set up for everyone. Right now what they're doing is, I asked if I was allowed to mention what they are doing. Clinton kind of wanted to keep that a secret for some reason.
Okay.
So I will just boot up something for us to do in the meantime. Go. Alright, I've got a fun little quiz for everyone to do up here. Should be a good little insight to some popular games and their development history, as well as just some fun trivia facts about them as well. Alright, that's a nice turnout in there. Anybody else want to hop in before we start this up? 10 people sounds very solid. Alright, let's get this started. Alright. Guys want to quickly join in? Shouldn't be too much longer. That's right. P.E.A.M was the first video game made. Oh wait, no, it was.
It's not one of the regulars of video games.
Yeah,
It also includes movies, not video
that's
games.
right. Whoops, I misread the question myself.
You practice this, Harry?
No, I did not practice it.
I think we should probably stop there because we're gonna run out of time otherwise.
Alright. I believe
Oh,
this
you
is.
just
Yeah, let's just do 5.
Fine. Okay.
Wait, seriously?
Yep, Space Invaders was renowned as what it was.
The first one before Pac-Man?
Yeah, it was the first one to come out. I believe it was the first. I haven't done the history on all these.
I didn't
honestly.
know that actually.
Yeah. I always thought it was Asteroids or Pac-Man.
Okay, 2 more questions.
Alright.
I heard about this. Basically, too many low quality games released, and then everyone just got the solutions with games and arcades.
Yep, and E.T. ruined a lot of people's Christmases, that's for damn sure. Alright, let's see.
They're releasing
Find out.
hundreds. They're releasing hundreds of like very low quality games in a single cartridge for like $12 or something. That's right.
Video game ratings a very classic issue. I think time was troubleshooting. I didn't know how to use that mouse.
Oh, you just drag the screen.
I didn't realize that. I thought I had tried that already. That's right.
I thought it was AO. Hold on. Okay, yeah, I think is that
No,
the
there
last-
is adults only. That is a very classic TV rating. Not too sure if that applies.
Yeah,
Well,
but,
it is a
before my
classic
time.
ESRB rating.
S might be
Okay, is
harder
that-
than you.
Yo,
Yeah.
yo,
This is a quiz from 3
what's
years ago. Yeah.
It's about time.
All right. Last
Okay.
one. Last one then. Oh, what's this little video?
Loading screen. Okay, the screen. The video is just to show, but the question is what's important. So. Okay.
That's right.
We're gonna go back to slides now.
I'm just gonna see who won.
Find out.
Hey, nice. And we're just
Good
gonna have
job.
to give that a brief little stop for now. Unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah, let's go back to
Good luck next
sides.
time.
Does it just stop like fully? Hopefully you didn't go into. Hopefully you didn't stream like my drive's contents. Okay.
Alright. Let me just pull that back up.
It's presentation up. No, let me do that.
Up? Sorry, not too sure how you've laid this bit out. Oh, shit, Mike.
Okay, let's Okay. So I just took out those four. They're called the pitches. Those four members that I just took out. Basically, in this T.E.A.M.S project, each of those pitches will have defined a small-scale game, and these small-scale games, the members, all of you preferably, will be joining into these teams, and they're learning the mechanics that they're going to pitch. So, would you please line up across the front of the stage? Okay, so yeah, each of you knows what to say, and you're ready? Okay. Alright, so, oh, you want to read? Alright, so these are the pitches they're about to pitch. The first step towards the dream game, or a few steps in case of Sam. And the pitch is short presentation, description, also summarize game mechanics, so the members know which team you want to practice mechanics with.
Okay.
And yeah. So for those in the stream, contact us on socials so you can read these slides and then know which team to join afterwards. Alright, so I'm just gonna quickly, oh no. I'm gonna do this like live, so write down the teams. Okay, so there's 4 teams. So who of you wants to be first?
Yeah, I want to be first. Yeah.
Okay, I'll go in order from left to right then.
Yeah.
Alright, so Justin.
Kids with guns. Yeah, that's it. Kids with guns. Local multiplayer, strategy, turn-based. Yeah, that's
Is there 2D or 3D? Or does it matter? Okay, 2D. Okay, so I'll go over each of the pitches before we let members join teams. Alright, so Sam.
Yeah,
Yep.
So for my team, we've been working on already a VR game where you throw gigantic blocks at other people. It's like a multiplayer arena type thing. We have like the Force or like the physics guns from Half-Life, for example. And the aim is just to be the last one standing. There's different game modes. So we'd be looking for more like experienced people that are more to art, because we've already got a prototype and we're about to release a demo. So it's already a few steps down the road. Yeah.
So you're looking for people to do the texturing materials?
Yeah. For example, from maybe someone who's experienced in 3D modeling to more design, like logo type things. That's what it is.
Okay, good to hear, Sam. Hi, Darren.
I want to make a 2D fighting game where like every character feels different. Instead of making like a big cost, we'll focus on like the core mechanics to like nail down. They'll get that feel of like a smaller fighter.
Okay. Okay, that's a suitable scope. Let's see. Attack, animations. Yeah. Alright. And Kathy?
So my idea is basically a visual adventure or storyline-based adventure. So I want to share with other people our own experience as university students, the daily joy and pain we feel throughout the semester. So the main game mechanics will be, I think it's more feasible to be 2D, especially with the environment that's easier to build. And the primary mechanics will be movement control, dialogue, and then probably some storyline. So give player options and have some logic built in that lead into different lines. Maybe in the future we're building multiplayer, but at the moment the demo should be just single player with starting with maybe the engineering faculty as engineering student, so start simple. I myself, I am a programmer. I can do some simple animation, but I just want more people to share the idea and join and get started.
Okay. Okay, so those four are the projects that we have. Could each of you, then again, there are some allowances for solo divs if you really want to work by yourself. Join the team. So these are our 4 pitches. The team's project is join. Okay. So those of you interested in strategy games, join Justin. Those of you interested in like 3D action or like VR games, join Sam. And those of you interested in fighting games, join Darren. And those of you interested in like story-based or University of Auckland life, join Kathy. Alright. Don't need a few shy now. Stand up.
Okay, stand up and
So you probably have the other slide.
Like right now. I'll be here real soon. Okay, so have all of you picked a team?
I've downloaded it at one point and played around with it.
Everyone's pitching phase. Can you discussion back to the desk so that you can see the slides and people like don't get blocked facing slides. Okay, so sit down with your team.
Yeah, it's sitting where you use the around here.
Alright, sorry for being rushed. There's some this happening.
Yeah,
Time finishes in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Alright.
We can talk on the Discord and everything, right?
So, Natalie, you can continue talking while you sit down, right? Yeah, so you can sit down like together. Yeah. Okay, so I'll quickly go through this. From Alright, so from next club night on, I want this room to be split between the teams, active teams, on the the middle side of the room, and then the freelancers on like either this end or maybe this end, I guess. So the freelancers can get some peace and quiet, and the teams can like share knowledge closer together.
Okay.
Alright, and you can join multiple teams, and yeah, share knowledge. Alright. So the goal is, the deadline for this game jam is 1 month, but like the video said, scope's small, like 1-2 weeks max, except for that team who's like really good, Sam. The rules are simple, must be original, like you can't just wholesale copy a tutorial and just like paste it and expect people to not notice. Plagiarism, man. And the game must be playable on these computers, so like Windows 10. Alright, so the deadline is 28th of April. That's week 7, so the second week after we come back. So this is a summary. I'll leave this up for the rest of the club night. Yeah, I suggest you coordinate ASAP.
Yeah.
Because some people's got tests, share contacts like right now. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hi everyone, Josh here from the GDG. I just want to follow up with regards to the T.E.A.M.S project and how I'm give you guys a much more deeper look into each and every project and each and every team leader. If you want to know more about these projects and so on, you can do so by following our social media down below and joining our Discord and following and contacting the team leaders there. Cool. So to start off with, we're going to be going for Justin's game project. His game project is a 2D game, and it's all based on chess with guns. So the main idea for this game would be having each and every as a 1v1 player versus player game, and all of the pieces are intricately placed, and the main focus is balancing the amount of pieces in place and how to make it more mechanically fun. It's a very interesting project, and if you want to know more, feel free to discuss it with him and at your own pace. And yeah, second game project would be Sam. He is a veteran of the GDG and is already doing his own projects in spare time. He's already done a few VR games, but for this one he's been doing a 3D multiplayer action game inspired by Half-Life and using the Half-Life gravity gun. The way the multiplayer is gonna work is that it's gonna be more local co-op based, and the main selling point of the game is that they're using the physics of each of the objects to distract the players or incapacitate the players when it comes to playing the game, when versing them within the game. For now, they're much more interested in, for someone that's interested in 3D modeling and experienced in 3D modeling, 3D rigging, and interested in materials and textures. So if you want to know more and follow up with him, feel free to look into the description below. Okay, next project would be Daniel's, otherwise known as Darren. Darren's game idea is a 2D fighting game with the main inspiration of it being unique, because this is based on this will be a fighting game that has unique mechanics to each and every character. It will not really be based on the fighting style of each and every unique fighting styles for each character in the roster, but it'll be either one character or one to two characters, and each and every one of them have a unique arsenal or weapon set, and then players can choose that and then fight each other through there. It is definitely something akin to either Guilty Gear or Persona 4 Arena, and it is very much tied to realistic physics. And on to our last project, which would be Kathy's, and her game idea is a 2D adventure game all about student life, mainly life with a Y, and mainly as a student life of an engineering student. It is a 2D visual novel-esque game with story mechanics that has a branching storyline and branching narrative, and all based on short dialogues and short text chats. It'll have some form of affiliation or collaboration with the University of Auckland themselves, and interest in each and every department, and probably also Crackham. If you want to know more, again, go to the look in the description and see where we go. See how to contact her there. And that's all from me. Have a good Easter break, and of course, happy gaming.